Welcome to the Homework 6 Help Project for the College Applications problem. As you can see here on the CS11 website, we have several files posted for this project. The first is a PDF that contains the instructions. You might want to print this off to work from. The second contains data files that we'll import into using our files. And the third is a sample solution. Let's start by downloading the data files. I'm going to right-click on the data files link and go to Save Link As. And I'm going to place these files on my desktop so that they're easy for me to find. I'll go ahead and click Save, and then I'm going to minimize my browser window. Before we can use these data files, we need to extract them. We need to do that by right-clicking on the file and going to Extract All. Then we can just click the Extract link. You can see that there are several different files that are included here. The XML files are data on colleges and college applications that we're going to import into Access. The RTF file contains information that we'll format in Word. The PNG is a graphic that we're going to use in PowerPoint. Let's close the Explorer window here, and we'll go and start up Access. We want to click on Blank Database. And then let's browse and put this file on the desktop so that it's easy to find. The instructions say that we should name this file as last name underscore first name underscore hh6 underscore cap.accdb. Go ahead and click OK. Then we'll click Create. And let's close this table 1 that Access provides by default because we're not going to use it. We need to import the 3 XML files that are provided into our database. We're going to do them in the order that's listed in the instructions. To do the import, we want to go to the External Data ribbon, go to New Data Source, From File, and choose XML File. Let's go ahead and browse to where we have the files extracted on our desktop. The first file that we want to import is colleges.xml, so I'm going to double click on it. Then I'll click OK. We want to bring in the structure and data, so I just need to click OK. And then I'll click Close to leave the wizard. We're going to repeat that process by going to New Data Source, From File, XML. And this time we're going to browse and choose applications.xml. We'll double click on that, tell it OK. We want structure and data, so we'll tell it OK. And then we'll click Close to leave the wizard. And for the last file, we'll go back to New Data Source, From File, XML File. We want to browse, and we're going to choose expenses.xml. We'll click OK, OK again, and then Close. So you can see that we've brought in the 3 initial tables here. Let's go ahead and set up some relationships for these tables. We can do that by going to the Database Tools ribbon and clicking on Relationships. I'm going to double click to add each of the tables to the view here, and then I'll click Close. The first relationship that we need to create is going to be between colleges and applications. So if we look at the colleges and applications tables here, we can see that there's one field in common, this college ID field. Let's go ahead and select one of the college IDs and then hold down our mouse, and we're going to drag on top of the other one and then release. The instructions say that we should enforce referential integrity, but we don't want to enable cascade updates or cascade deletes. So we'll leave those unchecked. We'll go ahead and click Create. If we take a look here, the other relationship we need to make is between colleges and expenses. And again, it's college ID that's going to be the relationship field because that's the only one that's present in both. So let's go and select the one college ID. We'll drag onto the other college ID, and then we'll check Enforce Referential Integrity and click Create. Let's save our changes here, and we can close out the Relationships window. In step 5, we're going to create a series of queries based on the data that we just imported. Let's start doing query 5A. We'll go to the Create ribbon, and we want to click on Query Design. Here we're going to display application statistics. We need to know the college name, some information about the colleges, the number of applications received, and those accepted. So we're going to need the colleges table since we need the college name, and we have data on applications, so we want to add the applications table. We're just double clicking on those tables, but it doesn't look like we need anything from the expenses table, so I'm not going to add that to my query. We'll Go ahead and click close. And then let's populate the field grid down below. So we want the college name. I'm going to double click on that. Hit state. If it's publicly funded. We want to know the number of applications received and the number of applications accepted. And then we're going to add a calculated field. So let's go ahead and click over in the first blank column, and we can go into Builder. And the calculate field is going to find the acceptance rate. So let's go ahead and add the fields we need. But first, we want to go and give it a name for our actual calculate field. So acceptance rate is a good name. Type a colon after that. And then we'll drill down into the database, into tables. The fields that we need are from the applications table, so we'll select that. And we want applications accepted. I'm going to type a slash here since we're dividing. And then I want to double click on applications received. I'm going to select the EXPR that got added, and we don't need that, so I'll go ahead and hit the delete key. We'll click OK. And then let's run our query here to make sure that it looks okay. We have 40 records and we have 6 fields, so that matches what the hint tells us. Everything looks good except for we have to do a little bit more stuff with some formatting and sorting. So let's go back to design view. Since we've run the query now, we can go ahead and apply the formatting and set the number of decimal places. And we're going to format the acceptance rate. I'm going to go ahead and right click and go to properties since the properties pane wasn't already up. And we want to format this as % with 1 decimal place. And then we're supposed to sort by college name in ascending order. So I'll go ahead and choose that and run the query again. Everything looks pretty good. We can just resize some of these fields so that they show up a little bit better. Let's go ahead and save the query. And this is going to be query 5A. We'll click OK, and then we'll close it. For query 5B, we're going to calculate average SAT scores and expenses for colleges in 5 different states. Let's go to the Create ribbon, and we want to click on Query Design. In this case here, we're going to have to add all 3 of the tables. We need the Applications table because it has the SAT scores, colleges so that we know what state each college is in, and the expenses so that we know what their costs are. We'll click Close, and then we can start to populate the grid down below. So we're supposed to be grouping data by state, so we need to add the state name. We need the critical reading SAT score, the math SAT score, in-state tuition, out-of-state tuition, and room and board. Because we're trying to find the average of the test scores and the expenses, we need to turn on the totals option. So I've clicked the totals button here, and it's had this total row down below. We want to continue to group by state, but for the other fields, we want to change it so that it displays the average. Go ahead and resize the bottom so it's a little bit easier to see as I enter my criteria here. We're only going to display records for colleges that are in 5 of the listed states from the instructions here. We're going to enter these records 1 state per row, since as we go down through rows, each new row is considered an OR. And if I type in the name of the state, I'm going to let Access automatically put the double quotes around when I go on down. Just makes it a little bit easier to type in that way. So the first state in my criteria is going to be West Virginia, then Maryland, Ohio, Kentucky, and Virginia. Let's go ahead and run this query just to make sure that it appears generally correct. So at this point here, we have our 5 records, and we have our 6 fields that the instructions tell us we should have. Let's go back to design view so we can clean up some of our formatting. Instructions tell us that we should format the average SAT scores as fixed type numbers with no decimal places. So since I've already got the properties sheet up, I can go there. If you don't have it, right click and go to properties. For the SAT scores, I want to change these to be fixed, and I want no decimal places, so 0 decimal places. Go ahead and do that for the other SAT field. For the expenses, we're going to format these as currency with no decimal places. So we want to set those as currency and 0 decimal places. Just do each of those fields. And we'll run this one more time. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and save this as query 5B. We'll click OK, and then we can close out the query. query 5C, we want to know which colleges have room and board costs of more than $10,000 and also have more than 1,000 accepted applications. And we're given some SQL code here that we can copy and paste from the instructions to go and make this query run. Let's go ahead and get the query going by going to the Create ribbon. We're going to go to Query Design, and then I'm just going to click Close on the Show Table box, and I'm going to switch over to SQL View. If I go over to the instructions, I can scroll down to Query 5C here, and then I'm just going to highlight the query. I'll right-click and tell it to copy. Go back over to Access, and I'm just going to right-click and go to Paste, and I'm going to run the query. So I've got my data here. Let's save this as Query 5C. Click OK, and then we can close. And we're going to do another SQL query here for 5D. This one's going to find the average total cost for a student to attend each college. So we'll go back to the Create ribbon, click on Query Design, click Close to get out of the Show Table dialog box, and we'll go over to SQL View. I'm going to head back to my browser and copy this SQL code to the clipboard by highlighting it and then right-clicking, going to Copy. Go back to Access, right-click and paste, and we'll go ahead and run this. And then we can save this query as 5D and click OK. We'll go ahead and close. For step 6, we want to run the compact and repair utility on our database. To do that, let's go to the File ribbon, and then we'll just click Compact and Repair. Now in this case here, it ran fine for me without any problems. What you may sometimes see is that you get an error that it was not able to run successfully. If that's okay, you can just ignore it and move on. I'm going to go ahead and close out of Access now, because when I go to import data from this database into Excel, I'm going to run into problems if I still have Access running. So it's very important that we actually exit out of Access before we go into Excel. For step 7, we're going to get started with the Excel portion of the project. Let's go ahead and start up Excel. And we want to create a blank workbook. And before we do anything further, let's save our file. Go ahead and click on the Save icon, and I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to put this file on my desktop, and I want to name this as last name underscore first name underscore h86 underscore cap dot xlsx, and then I'll click Save. In step 8, we're going to set up the sheets for our workbook. Let's double click on sheet 1, and we're going to rename this to Expensive Colleges. We can hit Enter when we're done. Then we're going to add a new sheet. So let's click on the plus sign, and we want to name this one as All Colleges. We're going to import some data next. We want to go to the Expensive Colleges sheet, and we're going to import Query 5C from our Access database starting in cell A1. So I just want to make sure I'm clicked there into cell A1 in the top left corner, which I am. I want to go to the Data ribbon here, and I'm going to tell it that I want to get data from a database and then from Microsoft Access database. On the desktop here, I want to select the Access database that we just made. So I'll go ahead and double click on that. And here we can select what we want to import. So we're going to bring in Query 5C. So let's go ahead and click on that. And down at the bottom of the wizard here, I want to tell it to load to a table on an existing worksheet. So I need to make sure that I click the existing worksheet button, and then I can click OK. You can see it's brought in the data here. It's also opened up this Queries and Connections pane with Query 5C loaded. Let's head over to the All Colleges sheet. And we're going to do the same thing here with bringing in Query 5D into cell A1. So I'm in cell A1. Let's go to the Data ribbon, get data from database, from a Microsoft Access database, and we'll choose that same file that we just made a couple minutes ago. Go ahead and double click on it. This time we want to bring Query 5D. So we'll go ahead and select that. Then we want to go down at the bottom and go to Load to Table on an existing worksheet. So make sure that we choose existing worksheet. And then we'll click OK. Excel's going to bring in this data as well. And then we can actually click the X here and close the Queries and Connections pane because we're not going to use anything with it. In step 10, we're going to create a chart to display information on college expenses. Let's go over to the Expensive Colleges sheet. We want to select cells A1 through C19. So I'm just going to hold down the Shift key and I clicked in C19 and it selected that whole range there. We want to do a 2D clustered column chart. So let's go to the Insert ribbon and we'll take a look at their recommended charts. And we have a clustered bar chart down here. And this is actually the option we want here, clustered column chart. We'll go ahead and click OK. It's going to insert our chart. And we need to move the chart to a new sheet named Expensive Colleges chart. So I'm going to right click on the chart and tell it to move chart. I'm going to choose New Sheet. I'm going to type in Expensive Colleges chart. And we'll click OK. We want to make sure that the chart has appropriate titles for the chart itself and for the axes. Let's go ahead and give these a little bit better names. I'm just going to edit the chart title. A good description here would be college expenses. And then we want to add the axis titles. So if I go to the plus sign, I can go ahead and click the check mark for axis titles. We'll go ahead and add them to both. For the vertical axis, the descriptive and label here would be cost, since that's what those bars represent. And down the horizontal axis, this is going to be the college name, or we'll just type in college. We need to format the vertical axis as currency with no decimal places. So to do that, let's go ahead and click to select the vertical axis. We can right click and go to Format Axis. Here on the Axis Options pane, I want to scroll down and expand out where it says number. And for the category, I'm going to choose currency. And then I want to specify 0 decimal places. You can kind of just click out of here and we're done with this chart. In step 11, we're going to make a pivot table. Let's head over to the All Colleges sheet and I'm going to select cells A1 through E41, so that's actually our entire table here. And we're going to make a pivot table based on it by going to the Insert ribbon, and we'll just click the Pivot Table button. All the default values here are OK, so we can click the OK button. And we've got this new sheet now. Let's go ahead and rename this sheet. We're going to call it All Colleges Pivot Table. We can go ahead and start to populate the pivot table. We want to add the college name as a rows field. So I'm just going to drag that from up above down in the rows section. I want to add the publicly funded indicator as a columns field. And the average tuition as the values field. We need to do a little bit of formatting here. For the sum of average tuition, we want to format that as currency with no decimal places. So if I just go over into where I have the values displayed, I can right click and go to Value Field Settings. I'll click the Number Format button, and then I'm going to choose to do this currency with 0 decimal places, and I'll click OK, and then I'll click OK again. You can see it's nicely formatted my numbers here. The reason why I went into Value Field Settings rather than going directly to Format Cells is by going through Value Field Settings, if I make any changes that might filter or add data to this, it's always going to have that same formatting applied. If I just apply it to the cells directly, if I change the pivot table, those formatting settings may or may not be there when we're done. At this point here, let's go ahead and save our work. And we're complete with the Excel portion, but because we're going to be using some of these charts in our following files, we don't want to close out of Excel quite yet. In step 12, we're going to create our Word document. Let's go ahead and start up Word. I just want a blank document. I'm going to go ahead and save my file so that I have it named correctly. Go ahead and click Save. I'm going to browse and put this file on my desktop. Then I'm going to name this as last name underscore first name underscore hh6 underscore cap dot docx and click Save. Step 13, we're going to add a cover page. To do that, let's go to the Insert ribbon and we'll click on Cover Page here. And we want to use either Sideline or Wisp. So we have Sideline there. I'm going to go with Wisp because I think it looks a little bit dressier. We need to specify some values. For the date, we want to go ahead and choose the current date. So if I click this little drop-down menu option here, I can just click Today, and I'll go and populate it with today's date. The title is going to be College Applications. The subtitle will be Selecting the Best College. Down at the bottom, the author name should be your name if it's not already populated there. And the company name should be Computer Science 101 section and then the number of the course section that you're in. For step 14, you should normally already have a second page there. If you don't have one, you'll want to create it first. On this new page here, we're going to click and we're going to insert the contents of the criteria.rtf file. So for that, on the Insert ribbon here, click where it says Object. That looks like kind of like the file window. And I'm going to choose Text from File. On the desktop, I'm going to go into the zip file that we extracted into its folder. And I want to select criteria.rtf. I'll go ahead and click Insert. So you can see it's brought in all the contents that were in that file. One thing that you're going to notice is that we have instructions on how to apply formatting, and those kind of look like HTML tags here. We're going to go through the document, and where those are indicated, we're going to apply some formatting. For step 15, I want to include the expensive colleges chart from Excel. The spot where I need to include this is on the bottom of the second page of text. You can see here it says include the expensive colleges chart here. I'm going to go and highlight that text, and then I'm going to hit delete, get rid of it. I want to head over to Excel, and I'm going to click to select the chart. If I right click, I can go to copy. We'll copy it to the clipboard. If I head back over to Word, I can right click, and I'm going to tell it to paste. And so I've got my chart here now. I need to apply a little bit of formatting. If I select the chart, I can get this new Chart Tools ribbon here. I want to go to the Format ribbon, and I'm going to tell it that I want the chart to be 4 inches high, 6.5 inches wide is okay. One thing that I do need to do, though, is include a caption for the chart. So I can add that caption by right-clicking and going to Insert Caption. And I just want to give this a descriptive caption here. So let's just go through and call this College Expenses. And I'll click OK. You can see that this new caption has been added to my chart. For step 16, we want to insert an equation in our document. If we scroll down just a little bit here, you can see the spot where we're supposed to insert the equation. Let's go ahead and highlight that text. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to hit the Enter key just so I get a blank line because I want to put my equation on its own line. To insert the equation, we'll go to the Insert ribbon and click the Equation button. If we look at the equation that's shown here, it's a fraction. So we'll go to Fraction, and we want stacked fraction, just where it's numerator and denominator right on top of each other. I'm going to go ahead and click in the box for the numerator, and I want to type out-of-state space tuition. And I'll click in the denominator now, and this one is going to be in-state tuition. So we've got our equation set up now. We're ready to specify a bibliography for our report. Let's go ahead and set up our references that we're citing. So let's go. We can go to the References ribbon here, and we want to click Manage Sources. And their first type of source that we want to add is a website. So let's click New, type of source. It should be a website. And we're just going to enter the values that are listed. So the name of the web page is College Selection Criteria. Name of website is studentaid.com. Year is 2013. And then we want to show all bibliography fields so that we get a little bit more detail down here. The date accessed is going to be, we need to break this up here a little bit. We want the year access to be 2013, the month to be March, and the day to be 28. And the URL, we're going to type in as listed, http://www.studentaid.com/planning/research/selection-criteria. So I've got that typed in here. Go ahead and click OK. And when I now want to create another new website source. So I'll click the new button again. It's got website selected by default. The name of this web page is College Selection Guide. The name of the website is College View. The year is 2013. And then we'll click again the Show All Bibliography Fields box so that we can get the date accessed fields. Year accessed is going to be 2013. Month accessed is March. Day accessed is 28. And the URL is http://www.collegeview.com/article/college-selection-guide. I'll go ahead and click OK. We have another website type source, so we'll click New again. It's going to be a website. Name of this web page is About the SAT. Name of the website is Peterson's. Year is 2013. We'll show all bibliography fields. Year accessed is going to be 2013. Month accessed is April. Day accessed is 4. The URL is http://www.petersons.com/sat-scores-about-test.aspx. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Have another website source, so we'll click the new button again. The web page here is Guide to State Residency, and the name of the website is College Board. Year here is 2012. We'll show all bibliography fields. Year accessed is 2013. Month accessed is April. Day accessed is 4. URL is going to be http://professionals.collegeboard.com/international/state. And we'll click OK. And we have one last new website source. Go back, new. Name of this web page is Student Financial Aid in the United States. Name of the website's Wikipedia. The date for this, we actually have a full date, so we can list the year as 2013, the month as March, and the day as 28. We'll go and show all bibliography fields. The year accessed is going to be 2013, month accessed is March, day accessed is 28. And the URL is http://student_financial_aid_in_the_United_States. And we'll click OK. And then we'll click Close to get out of there. And then we want to scroll down to the bottom here where it says Insert Bibliography here. Let's go ahead and delete that text. And then we want to insert our bibliography here on the References ribbon where it says Bibliography. We want to go ahead and click the one that says Bibliography. And we're told that we should use APA style, which is what's listed here. So we're ready to go with the bibliography. For step 18A, we're going to go back through those different places where the formatting was specified in our document here. Like I said, it looked like HTML tags. And we're going to apply that formatting and then delete the formatting instructions. So for example here, it says I want to use the heading 1 style for the text that says the college selection criteria. So go ahead and select that text. And if I go to the home ribbon here under styles, I can click heading 1. I'm just going to work my way through. So I'm going to format the important factors as heading 1 as well. Here, I'm going to do a bulleted list. I'm going to use a round style bullet, which each segment, so each of these paragraphs is going to be a new bullet. And then I want to bold the first sentence of each of these. So let's go ahead and select these sentences down to where it says end bulleted list. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new bulleted list with the round style bullets. And then I'm just going to select each sentence and we'll go ahead and bold it. You can also use the Control-B key on your keyboard to apply the bold. Make things go a little bit faster. And since I've applied all that formatting, I can go ahead and remove the instructions about applying it since I've already completed that. Here, I'm told that I need to have a forced page break, so the following text at the start of a new page. I can add that by going to the Insert ribbon, and I can go ahead and click on Page Break. I'm going to select and delete that instruction. Here, the SAT gets formatted as heading 1. So I need to go back to the Home ribbon for that. And when I'm applying one of the heading styles, it's actually going to apply it to the entire paragraph. So I don't even need to highlight the text since it's the only text that's in that paragraph. If my cursor's in it, I can go ahead and click heading 1. We have another bulleted list here, and we don't need to bold anything, but each of these paragraphs is going to be its own bullet with a round bullet style. Then I'll remove the instructions about the bulleted list. Here, the SAT scores is going to be a heading 2 style. Academic offerings is going to be heading 1. Have my equation and my chart, and then I'm going to add a page break right before the bibliography. So let's delete the instructions there. We'll go to the Insert ribbon and click Page Break. So we've got all of our formatting applied. Let's go ahead and save our work. And then we want to continue on with step 18B. We want to modify the normal formatting style to specify Verdana 11 point as the default font. To change the formatting style, let's go to the Home ribbon here. And if I right click on the normal style up in the ribbon, I can choose to modify. And for the font, I want to make this be Verdana instead of Calibri, which it was. We have 11 point, so that's okay. We just need to click the OK button. And you can see here now all of that text that had been Calibri has pretty much, most of it has all changed over to be using Verdana. We want to add a heading to all the pages that come after the cover page. So we can really actually do this from any page, but I'm going to scroll up to the first page of actual text. If I just double click in the heading, it's going to go ahead and let me edit it. And the instructions say in the right hand corner, we want to list our last name followed by the page number. And we want to begin at page number 1 on the first actual page of text, which is the page that I'm on. Let's go to the Home ribbon here, and I'm going to write a line. I'm going to type in my last name, type in a space, and then under Header and Footer Tools, if I go to Design here, I can do page number. And at current position, I'm going to just choose a plain number. And you can see here I'm actually at page 1, so that's exactly what I wanted. Let's go ahead and click Close and get out of the header. Continuing on, the first line of our text paragraph should be indented by a ½ inch, and we're told that we should not indent the cover page, headings, images, captions, equations, or bibliography. So what we really just need to do here is kind of work through our document. So like we have our text paragraphs here, I'm just going to go and select those, and I'm going to go into paragraph settings by clicking the little button in the bottom right corner of the paragraph section on the Home ribbon. And here I want to do a special indent. I want a first line indent, and ½ inch is the default, so that's fine. Go ahead and click OK. I'm just going to work my way through the document and apply that 1/2" indent for the rest of my paragraphs. When you're applying paragraph formatting options like this, you don't necessarily need to have all of the text in the paragraph highlighted. As long as your cursor's in the paragraph or portions of the paragraph is highlighted, it's going to get that formatting setting. So it looks like we have everything that needs to be indented is done. Continuing on, except on the cover page, we're supposed to use double line spacing. So let's go to our first page of text, and I'm just gonna select starting with the very first line of actual text down to the end of the bibliography. I just held down, clicked in the first spot, held the shift key down, scrolled down, and clicked the last spot, and it's highlighted everything. I'm going to use double line spacing. So here on the home ribbon, we have this little line and paragraph spacing button here. I'm just going to choose 2.0. That's going to be double line spacing. I want to make sure that now that we have no or 0 point line spacing before and after each paragraph except on the cover page. So everything that I have highlighted was everything that was after the cover page. So we can just keep the same stuff highlighted. Let's go back into our paragraph settings by clicking the button in the bottom right corner of the paragraph section on the home ribbon. Here, I want to go ahead and set 0 point for the before and after spacing, and I'll click OK. You can see it's tightened up some of the text spacing here a little bit. The last piece of formatting that we need to do here is to make sure that we have a 1-inch margin on all sides. So let's go to the layout ribbon here, click on margins, and you can see that it has this normal 1-inch margin selected. So at this point, we're done with Word. I'm going to go ahead and save my changes, and we're not going to be doing anything else in Word, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. For step 19, we want to work on the PowerPoint portion of our project. Let's go ahead and start up PowerPoint. We want to create a blank presentation. Let's go ahead and save our file, and we'll place it on the desktop. And we want to name this as last name underscore first name underscore h6 underscore cap dot pptx, and we'll click save. For step 20A, we want to set up our title slide, and so we can just edit this slide that's already here. We want to list a title for our presentation. So a good title would be College Applications, based on what we have our project named as. And then down in the subtitle, we want to list our full name, course section, and an automatically updating date. For that automatically updating date, we want to go to the Insert ribbon, and we want to click on the button that looks kind of like a calendar for date and time. Let's go ahead and pick with the date spelled out and click the box that says Automatic Updates. We'll click OK. We're going to add a title and content slide. So we'll go to New Slide here and choose Title and Content. And this slide is supposed to be titled Expensive Colleges. And then down in the content section at the bottom, we want to add the chart from the Expensive Colleges chart sheet in our Excel workbook. So let's head back over to Excel. Got that chart selected again. I'm going to right click and go to copy. In PowerPoint, I'm going to select that content area, and then I can right click and just go to paste here with the first paste option. So I've got my chart in here now. Next, with step 21, we're going to create a series of title and content slides to answer our analysis question. Each question is going to get its own slide. Let's go ahead and create the first new slide. This one's going to be for question A. And here the question prompt asks, what are some pros and cons of attending an in-state college? And we want to give specific reasons for our answer. In my response here, I said that some pros are that in-state students tend to have lower tuition when they go to public colleges. And also, they might be closer to their families, so there can be lower costs associated with travel. You know, you might not have to fly across country to go see your family. You can drive to them. Two potential cons for going to an in-state college is that just, if you're restricted to looking at schools that are in-state, there's a smaller pool to choose from, so you might have trouble finding one that fits you. Also, there may be some programs to study that just aren't available in your state. For example, if you want to be a veterinarian, there are no veterinary programs in West Virginia. People have to go out of state for that type of degree. Continuing on, let's take a look at question B. Question prompt here says that there's a large variation in room and board fees charged between different colleges, and it asks what are some possible reasons for the wide range of costs. A couple of reasons I've listed here in my response. That one big factor might just be that the age and construction costs for the dorms might affect the room and board. If you have brand new buildings, you're going to have to pay them off, so you're probably going to be charging higher costs to live in those dorms. If you're in an urban area, the land is going to be more valuable as well. So if you're going to a college that's in a large city, you're probably going to end up paying more for your dorm than if you were at one in a rural area. And another potential reason might just be the factors of dealing with supply and demand. If a college has a lot of unused dorm rooms, they're not making any money for them. They might go and lower the costs, figuring that that'll make those dorms more attractive, and people might want to move in. They can at least make some money that way versus no money if they were to sit empty. Let's take a look at question C. Here, this question asks, why do publicly funded colleges generally charge lower rates for in-state tuition than out-of-state tuition? The answer here basically comes down to state subsidies. Most states go and give money to colleges with the expectation that that money is going to be used to make tuition cheaper for that state's residents. The state really doesn't have a whole lot of interest in making college cheaper for out-of-state students. So if you're an out-of-state student, you're probably going to be paying the full cost of your tuition, whereas the idea is that if you're an in-state student, the state's picking up at least part of what it would cost to educate you. Question D. We're asked, why might a college accept a relatively small percentage of the students who apply to it? Here, my response, I gave two possible reasons. One might be that the college might only have the physical capacity or staffing to be able to handle a certain number of students. If you've got no place to build, you have to be able to go and deal with the classrooms and the dorms within the space you have. That's going to cap how many students you can take. Another reason might be that some colleges just get a whole lot of students and they don't want to have that many students within their student body. Some schools are very prestigious. You have like your Harvards, things like that. They may only want to accept some of the students who apply because they want to maintain that prestige. If they allowed in a lot more students, they may not be as selective, and they might lose some of their luster. Another reason could be that you have factors like football championships that will tend to draw a lot of students to a particular school. And, those can be things that kind of come and go. School may not want to go and scale up to handle all those students if they figure that they may not have that big applicant pool again in the future. For the last analysis question here, question E, we're asked, what are some possible causes that might lead to large year-to-year changes in the number of students applying to a college? The answers for this question that I've written here kind of really tie into publicity. If you have things that get a school's name in the news, that can lead to cases where a lot more people want to go there, or maybe a lot more people don't want to go there. If you have good publicity, like I talked about earlier, with a football championship or something that's going to have a whole lot of attention brought to the school, that might go and encourage more students to go to that school, or at least want to go to school, submit their applications. If you have things that bring bad publicity, like you had the Penn State scandal, people might decide that they don't want to be associated with that, so that might lead to fewer people wanting to apply to attend a particular school. Now that we have our analysis questions finished, let's add some formatting to dress up the appearance of our slides. The first thing that we want to do is apply one design theme of our choice to all slides. For that, let's go to the design ribbon, and we can take a look at the different options here. I'm going to go with this design that's called Ion. Once you pick the design that you want, just click on it. It's going to go ahead and apply it to all the slides. Next, we're told that we should apply an animation of our choice to the chart on the expensive colleges sheet here. So I went to the expensive colleges sheet. want to go ahead and click the chart, and then I want to go to the animations ribbon. And I can just pick whichever one of these designs that I like. I'm going to go ahead and have this chart fly in. So I just click the fly in animation. It's going to go ahead and apply that to my chart. Next, I want to apply slide transitions to all slides. I get to pick what transition I want, but it needs to be on all slides. So let's go to the transitions ribbon here, and pick a style that I want. Let's take a look at wipe here. Looked good. And I want to click the apply to all button. That's going to go ahead and add that to all of my slides. You can see that all the slides now have the little play animations icon beside them. That designates that they have a transition or an animation on that slide. I need to edit my slide footers to go ahead and add that college.png image. For that, let's go to the view ribbon here, and we'll click on slide master. I want to scroll up to the top because I want to add that image to the topmost or parent slide master. To add the image itself, once I've selected that parent slide, I want to go to the insert ribbon, and I'll click on pictures. I want to go to the desktop and into the folder where we extracted the contents of the zip, and I'll double click on college.png, and it's supposed to be in the bottom left corner of my slides. So let's go ahead and reposition that image, and I want to size it to be 0.6 inches tall and 0.9 inches wide. Just go ahead and reposition it a little bit more here. Now, the one thing that we will note is that it, depending on the style of slide thing that you used, it may or may not appear on the title slide. That's okay, but it should appear on every other slide. Since I've got this set up here, I'm going to go ahead and close out of slide master view. And the last thing that I need to do is go through and specify some footers for my slides. I want to go to the insert ribbon here and click on header and footer. And on the slide ribbon here, I want to specify a couple of different things. One I want to do is specify an automatically updating date. So I click the box for date and time. I want to set to automatically update. I want to add the slide number. And then I want to add my name, and I'm going to add my name as part of the footer. I don't want to have this show on the title slides, but I want it to be on everything else. So I'll go ahead and click apply to all after I've checked the don't show on title slide box. You can see here that based on the ion design that I'm using, that it's added the slide number here, the date, and my name. At this point here, I can go ahead and save my PowerPoint file. I'm done with the project. It's important that you go close out of all the applications. So if you still have Excel or Word open, make sure you close those. Close PowerPoint. When you submit your files, you need to submit all 4 files. They'll each have their own box to upload them in. It's important that you submit the entire project all at once so that you get credit for your work. If you have any questions on anything that was covered, you can ask your instructor or visit CS101 Open Lab.